Gundam fight all set! Ready, go!
Hello, folks, and welcome to the Mechpit chat for December 1st, 2025. That's right, we are 11 months down, one more to go. We're in the home stretch of what can only be described as a year. But, it has been, all things considered, pretty good. Well, as good as it can be. The laptop, tonight we're running from my laptop here, so we got a little bit of a hiccup here at Mechpit HQ. My PC's seemingly gone down, and I am having to run off the laptop for backup, so I've had to kind of scramble to get some things going until I can get the new PC in later this week, hopefully. So I guess that's one way of certainly saying that any tips that anyone wants to send my way would be very appreciated. Though, of course, I would never say that anything of the sort is mandatory. So I would ultimately ask that, well, show some love, talk in the chat, and keep us going. Because I want to keep talking about some big robots. I want to have some fun along the way. And let me pull up my chat. Oh, shit. Do I have an echo? Uh-oh. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me try to hear this. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, there's an echo. Let's... You turn that off? No? 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 Okay, that's weird. I don't see whether there's an echo going on. Okay, there we go. No more echo. Hopefully. How do we sound? Matt, no, there was... As far as I know, there's no new Gundam anime. But we do have a new Godzilla one. Among other things, because it has been a little bit of a week. Yeah, perfect. Apologies, again, I have had to set everything up. My PC died, and I am trying to move everything over to the laptop, so some things must have got wires crossed along the way. Whoops. It happens. But all things considered, we're doing pretty good over here. It has been a week. I was able to kind of get a nice little relaxation in. And yeah, let's see. Well, there's a case of false advertisement, but again, there's the IBO Order Hunt anime film. Really? Hey, how did I not know about this? Gundam IBO film Order Hunt. Let's see. Released in Japan in November 15th of 2022. So, unless there's like another one coming out. Oh, wait. Anime film Path of Life Challenger released October 31st, 2025. So, that one we're probably going to be minimum, I would guess, June. We might see something come out stateside, but that's a little hard to tell because I'm not even quite sure what we would expect for a release schedule with that. But I have way too many tabs open because there's been trying to set this all up. You know what? Let's. Yeah, that's fine. Let's get something up on screen so we can have a little chit chat and chin wag as we talk. A little bit of news kind of popped up that I saw that kind of caught my interest for things like some new Frazetta movie art. Movie poster art sells for $1.75 million, and creative movie poster sold at comic cover art by Neil Adams gaveled at 1.5. The latest Heritage Comic Art Signature auction. Film Luana, which I had never even heard of this. Like, Luana movie, 1968. Oh, Frank Frazetta is up there. Is just one of the best. Yeah, yeah. There's something amazing about his women. I remember there was a clip that had come out a long time ago with Frazetta, where someone was asking him about the way he depicted women as being seen as unrealistic, and he had said something to the extent of it's fantasy, and he wants to be able to kind of get it out there, and enjoy it as well. I bet I could probably find that clip actually. Oh, here it is. Everybody knocks my female figures. They say they're overblown, that women don't look like that. And I agree. Certainly all women don't look like that. Don't look like my paintings, but you can't deny some women do look like that. I don't want to paint just another woman. A painting. It's something important. You want to look at it. Maybe forever. Who wants to look at just an oh uh who wants to look at just an ordinary hero forever? You want the ultimate. You pull out the stops and do everything in extremes. The extreme in beauty, if it fits, the extreme in ugliness, if it fits, the extreme in terror, if that's what's required. I just think there's just one reason that so many people enjoy my stuff because all these extremes are jammed into it. And that's a really good quote that feels appropriate for the time and age we're in, where you have so many people arguing about the way beauty standards and beauty at all sizes. It's one of those things that I feel like would be worth taking a look at and bringing back. But let's see. So the Luana poster sold for $1.75 million. There we go. With this, I love the perspective of this, that we have just have a regular sized guy here fighting a humongous chimpanzee, and which means she must be completely massive. Or maybe it's just some movie poster hijinks, and they were like, "Holy shit, we got Frank Frazetta." Second movie poster cover for the cover of Ace edition of the Edgar Rice Burroughs novels sold for $700,000. Both Frazetta paintings were from the Howard Lowry Fantasy and Science Fiction collection. Three other less significant Frazetta pieces from the same collection sold for a combined $512,000. And the Adams art was for the cover of Superman 233. Oh, that holy crap! That is an iconic cover. And did they list the price of this? The Neil Adams cover. Okay, $1.5 million for the original art piece. Dang. They don't make them like that anymore. I mean, yeah, there's guys like Alex Ross out there who do have fantastic art, but it's it's poster art is what Alex Ross does. As much as I like his stuff, but ultimately it's not. Ultimately, Alex Ross like comic art. Right. Hang on. Let me see here. Uh, Without a little further ado, we got a little bit of it, one of our beloved extra hands hopping in, or should I say, one of the wings that keeps this show running. Hello, hello.
Good evening, friends, mecha fans, countrymen. Sorry for my tardiness.
Hey, no worries, my friend. Just chilling out a little bit. There's a lot of like interesting little stories that came up. It was kind of hard for me to kind of figure out how I wanted to ultimately go about talking about them all.
Okay.
But since you're here, I did have a little bit of stuff that kind of popped up that I thought might be fun to talk about. But before we do get all that, how are you doing, Mr. Punkwaddle?
I'm doing pretty good. I had to simmer the beans a little bit longer, so the food just got off the stove. But if I pick at it, I'll try not to be too loud. But I went. I got to see some family, over the holiday, and
Mm-hmm.
well, fun story is so I got called for jury duty this morning, and they're doing all this online stuff instead of just showing up, and they want you to fill out the survey or whatever, right?
Right.
And I don't know if it's because I wrote in, I'm a puppet. Do you really want that on your jury? When they saw me as a penguin waddling in the courthouse, they're like, you could go home. We don't need another juror. We don't need you. I was like, all right. I could probably handle 12 angry men, but no sweat off my beak. So
I mean, they didn't. They don't want to. They didn't want to start a precedent of letting puppets in. Otherwise, they might wind up with like 12 Miss Piggies.
that would be awful. That would be civil unrest, but it would be great for the Cuban barbecue later.
You're right. They're gonna smoke. They're gonna smoke the. They're gonna smoke them in the court.
Yeah.
Really throw the book at them and make sure it's a well seasoned jury.
Right.
So I don't know if you had heard about this or anything, but apparently we are getting a new Godzilla anime.
Other than you posting it earlier, I had no idea.
Right. Well, this kind of hopped up on the rate. This sort of dropped quietly over the weekend and was completely unnoticed until basically, until I was kind of looking around to like yesterday or so. I was like, I think I was on 4chan. I was like going through threads. I saw this. I'm like, wait, what?
Is this Godzilla number 8?
A new Godzilla anime turns a boy into the iconic monster. I mean, just based on the premise alone, I think you're kind of spot on. It sounds like we're getting the Godzilla number 8 treatment.
I mean, it definitely is another branch out into kind of where things are going with the meta of anime and some of the creative. Like, it's obviously some of the manga and stuff have been out for a while, but certain things that they're adapting and certain, how isekai was like the thing, and then we'll never be done with isekai, but now we have some other power fantasies and other things. So not all the, you know what I mean? Like every season, there's kind of a new, like, a revenge. I don't want to say revenge porn because not everything was redo of Healer, but anyway,
it's one of those interesting things where you do see those big trends come along. Isekai has been the big thing for the better part of a decade now, going way back.
Yeah, like Hack Sign, and even before.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, that was an early one, and we also had. I mean, the other one I think of is Sword Art Online is kind of one of the big prominent ones that really took off.
Yeah.
Which, yes, came after the dot hack stuff, but I feel like that was sort of where we got the modern, like, boom of it hit.
Now, the dot hack stuff paved a way, but it didn't catch on. And the video game, it was just convoluted how they were essentially stories in the kind of same universe, but they weren't doing the world building at first that was easy to follow. Like, I think it's at this point easier to follow the Fate series and how they're connected than dot hack, but I could be wrong. But I digress.
Let's see. Apparently, the premise for this new series announced at the Anime Festival Asia Singapore 2025.
Okay.
While light on details, concept art showed an unnamed kid. Oh, yeah, probably not important. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Give me one moment.
And then we bamf. Like Nightcrawler does. Bamf. And he's back.
It is just one of those annoying things of like because for Grandpa we still have the house phone and it is like every 30 40 minutes there's like a new phone call coming in for some place trying to get you on new Medicare benefits, and somehow it's even jumped to me getting those phone calls at work now.
Wow, that's a bit much. Don't leave a message and move on.
Anyway, but of all the times I wish I had Godzilla powers, maybe this is the anime that's gonna be for me to help me feel better as we tell these people we will not to not redeem.
Yeah.
Not redeem.
No
redeem. Let's see. Since the kid looks like Deku, the series is also about inheriting a mantle. Given Toho's chief Godzilla officer Keiji Ota called upon the upcoming anime a chance to, quote, more deeply portray both the fear and hopes of the modern era. These similarities are likely by design. So, yeah, let me pull that image up just so we get a proper good look at this.
Okay. It doesn't look like a full transformation for sure.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing the armor suit up, which could be for an interesting twist on the idea.
Yeah.
But again, it's something we've seen a lot, especially with like Tokusatsu, the Kamen Rider stuff, Super Sentai, which oh, don't worry, we'll be talking about that soon.
Okay, good, because I know there was a bit coming up with that. But like it's the same thing. Well, it's the power fantasy of the dudes versus the magical girl, but you have the power suit up thing.
And oftentimes it's the idea is always like it's a reluctant hero forced into it. This is the hero's journey in that built up fashion.
Yeah.
Let's see. Inheriting a mantle given Toho's, the fear and hope of the modern era, which again, you see it's a trope and idea you see brought through a lot of Tokusatsu stuff. Oftentimes a hero who stumbles into the power, and with great power comes great responsibility. It's one of those old catchphrases we've heard more than once.
Yeah, a season or an episode or Yeah.
Though at the same time, ultimately, I just want to see Godzilla in a big rubber suit stomping buildings and destroying Tokyo.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is which is why I always like the Showa era best, because it's just goofy enough.
And there's just something about the physical props, the suits. I know this really, really ties into the Super Sentai, what I'm saying, but there's just like, even when they're stomping around like the cardboard, silly, scaled down cities with the firecracker explosions and all the pops and like, and he kind of touched the other mech, but they kind of blew up, and or like Godzilla with the rope power lines and the stick figures and the little toys, like the really old stuff. It's just
the fact that you knew that there was a guy in a rubber suit flailing around as explosions were going off all around him. He's stuck inside a giant rubber suit trying to not catch on fire.
Like, I mean, honestly, I think the early days, they probably just said, here's a rubber suit. Can you see? Kind of walk this way, I guess. Just try not to trip over. and wait, you didn't tell me about the power lines. You didn't tell me about this. He's like, I know it looks authentic on film though, so we made it work. You know, you get this short straw, and you have to be the guy in the suit today.
Which reminds me, of course, then again, there's also more fun to it because there's other little clips out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I might be hit for this or something, but there's this famous clip that's been going around of the suit actress for Barugan, which I feel like really exemplifies how kind of fun it is.
Okay.
She's in this suit, Rogue. She doesn't have to make noise, but she goes, "Right."
It kind of looks fun.
And that's what I love best about it, because I can go show this to my nephew, the clips of this stuff, because that's about as much of a attention span as he has.
Yeah.
And he'll have some fun with it.
And again, it's also there's something about the silliness of it that, if you think about what the actual content is, it can be dark and it can be like have depth to it. But when it's kind of silly, family friendly too, there's all this levels of like, it doesn't have to be like the Dark Knight or really, really, you know, edgy, artsy. Those are fun, like the Shin Kamen Rider, the Shin Godzilla, like those have that edgy touch to them. Don't get me wrong, there's a place for it, but I just love the, you know, it's definitely not AI.
No, and there's just so much heart and soul that goes into those that I love and adore them. And you know, for example, like just because I'm loving it so much, the Told You wants to be a Kamen Rider. It has so much heart in it.
Yeah. I've let it cook for a few episodes, so I need to go binge it now.
Oh. All right, so we got all of them to go off and train, and they're coming back together now to go and have a big fight to try to finally decide who among them is the strongest. And these are some of the most like heartfelt fights where you want to see the two brothers you want to see the younger brother finally facing off with his older brother to finally surpass him because of the promise they made when they were young, saying, only when you beat me will I allow you to be Kamen Rider V3.
Hey, Squeaker.
You want to see him fight. You want to see him win. You're like, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're like, whether it's and I know some people are sticklers about dubs and stuff, but like whether it's in English or the dub, it's just intense. You can feel the heart of the characters. I just want to take a moment to apologize to Agent Decibel's childhood that apparently we have. I don't even want to talk about Santa Claus. Oh yeah, okay. I guess if Lobo killed him, you know, or that Santa bot from Futurama. Yeah, and Hi Squeaka. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Santa's. Yes. That's right. There was, of course, the Lobo's paramilitary Christmas. And hey, Squeaka, yeah, I too believe in Mothra. Let's see. Mothra's real. I will listen to no other nonsense. Okay, and Decibel, let me make the argument to you for one more reason. Why I know you would enjoy. Why I know you enjoy. Told You Wants to be a Kamen Rider. We have great villains. And I'll leave that one at that. Why, yes, we have of course.
Wait, is that Elon Musk?
Oh, it might be.
It's not. Gosh. He's not orange, so clearly he's not that. I don't know. I don't want to say anything else, on YouTube to connect the dots, because AI is really smart like that.
If I binge watch Kamen Rider, do I get to hang out with the Mech Men? Squeaka the door is open for you anytime you would come by. Like we will talk about this stuff and we will have our fun. This current anime only has like 8 or 9 episodes to it total, so it's an easy watch. There's a lot of this stuff has been getting out there, and I guess that's kind of a good segue to shift over to this other bit of news that was going on because for all the good we have with Kamen Rider coming out, we have multiple anime series that have come westward to be able to enjoy it. We have had a couple of like high profile movies that have come out. The series is now simulcasting between Japan and the U.S., and several of the older series are now starting to come out into the West. Finally, after Japan has finally been convinced that, why, yes, the rest of the world does in fact want to watch these kung fu bugmen.
Yeah.
The same, while could be true for some of the other Toku series like Super Sentai, the reality is that it just hasn't been the case because of, well, the original agreements that were tied to the series back when we first got it all as Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And to that end, it worked for a while. Like we actually had a producer come out. Actually, there's a couple articles that came up where we're talking about this. And so just kind of hit on one here briefly from Anime News Network. I do apologize, folks. I am still kind of getting used to this current setup. I'll do what I can. The head producer for Super Sentai explains the end of its half-century TV run. So it's finally coming to a close. Senior executive director and head producer of character business at Toei explained why the Super Sentai franchise is ending its television run after 50 years in an interview with Asahi Shimbun paper on Sunday. He also emphasized that he thinks the franchise, which spawned Power Rangers, will return, but he thinks a decade-long hiatus would be good for the franchise, which
Okay.
probably not a bad idea on its own, because you want to be to enjoy some things, they have to go away for a time.
Yeah, to have a reboot 6 months after a 50, it's like, yeah, you don't. It would be silly to try and reboot it in 6 months, and when they've been going on for 50 years. Yeah.
Well, I would say probably the best example of this is, if anything else, Star Wars. Star Wars is kind of the obvious one because Star Wars was bigger than anything. It was the #1 pop culture franchise in the world. And the thing was, it was insanely huge. We all enjoyed it, but it went away for a time. And so with it gone, there was a chance for people to build up that longing for it.
You make an excellent point that pause, give me like 2 minutes.
Yep, no problem.
In the fact that, yeah, for the way that serialization, especially since the 90s in the West, of like, just you get a good idea, and say The Office, it had 2 or 3 seasons in Britain, but we ran it for 10 years into the ground and had spin-offs, right? So you're right. I think the reason Star Wars managed so well in the West worldwide is because it did that. It told its story, and then it just let it rest, and everybody got excited. And then how many years later there was another trilogy increment, and then it rest. And then it's only now that the mouse, sorry, Squeaka, not you, the bad mouse took over, that they're trying to push all this stuff the same and serialize it like with Marvel, and it's just killing it, because something that we could enjoy in time has now just become a chore to even the people producing it. I don't think Sentai was like that, though. I think Sentai was something like more like Doctor Who, of just beloved, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, even if these shows can remain around, the audience will kind of will come and go as it goes on.
Yep.
Doctor Who, for example, was huge, and that one, Squeaka, she's a bad mouse.
I think a naughty mouse and a bad mouse are two different things. That's all I can say.
Star Wars is my heroine. Don't say that around Gator. We will not hear the end of it. I don't have the clip.
Yeah.
But I mean, the problem is. Oh, sorry, I got a hair.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, for Star Wars to be as good as it is, for it to be at that peak of storytelling. Don't get me wrong. The novels, the comic books, there was so much there to be able to keep it going and keep feeding the truly diehards.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we're seeing is audiences can be fickle, and it's difficult to keep that sort of high production budget with the Disney stuff going for this stuff, because not even Marvel is immune to it.
Oh, and I think you make a great point. Like, and the same thing with parallel with Doctor Who again. Like, you had audio stories, where they record stories that weren't on the TV shows, where you have books of certain adventures that were, authorized by canon, they were in universe, and so there's stuff that never made it to the screen, but it was lore that people could appreciate, people could keep up with, consume, absorb. And I think the alternate media, right, where it's a one-off story and you don't need it to do the other thing, makes again, it's lateral presence, diversified portfolio.
I don't trust the normie opinions when Jersey Shore was the most popular show on TV. And you know what? That is a perfectly valid argument. And let's not forget, of course, that everyone decided that American Idol was the way to decide what is the best singer.
You leave Kelly Clarkson alone.
I will never forget From Justin to Kelly.
Thank you. I was about to say that too.
But let's continue here. Shirakura explained that the limits of Super Sentai's concept have become apparent despite the staff incorporating various ideas in attempts to go beyond these limits. Thus, upon reaching the half-century mark, it became clear to the staff that they had fundamentally rethink the franchise.
Yeah.
And there's some truth to that, because that familiarity, having that sort of familiarity leads to people paying less attention to it. It isn't something that you as closely keep track of. Let's see. The producer said the franchise faced two major challenges, what he described as black ships, in reference to the Western ships that forced formerly isolationist Japan to rethink its place in the world. The first black ship was the advent of the streaming era spurred on by COVID-19 pandemics. Thanks to streaming, viewers can choose from the entire catalogs of both old and new shows, of not just Sentai, but also Kamen Rider and other live-action special effects or tokusatsu works. Thus, new shows found themselves competing with their own predecessors, especially high-acclaimed ones, for viewership. Viewers did not know where to start watching, since different entries had few ties between them. And this is actually another really good point that they're bringing up here, because as we've kind of been talking about with anime as well, there is so much stuff behind us to go and check out that you don't have to get into the latest series.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was going to say, everybody has their favorite kind of era.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus when it does come to some of these bigger shows, there is a challenge there as well, that you may look at just a huge smorgasbord of a buffet of series here,
mm-hmm.
and it becomes sort of what I call the ice cream dilemma. And this is something I've often described as, if you go to an ice cream place,
yeah,
they have three flavors: chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry.
Okay.
You know right away which one you're going to want. But
Yeah.
if you go to that same place and they have 32 flavors, you might have to stop for a minute and say, "Well, hang on, what are all
That's a
my options?"
random number. Sorry. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Or you could be Squeaka.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
But Squeak, if I only wanted to have a double or a triple, like I may not want to combine like my Blue Moon with the chocolate chip cookie dough.
You're gonna get cotton candy and peppermint, and hazelnut. And you're gonna like it. But yeah, but you
Side
know,
chew.
we don't. I don't say those words.
It certainly won't be pickle flavored or orange Fanta.
You know what? Now I have pickles one thing, but orange Fanta flavored. I mean, orange Fanta is the best. Strawberry Fanta is pretty good, and I will accept grape or pineapple Fanta.
Well, so one of the other problems with Super Sentai as well is due to the way that the deal was set up for the original series. Effectively, the Saban was able to get the rights to everything in terms of the Super Sentai footage
Yep.
outside of Japan.
And when was that deal struck up? Like, because that was an issue we had with so many Japanese properties were getting picked up and marketed to the West as a literally chopped and screwed and hodgepodge together with other show things that was pretty normative back then, right?
Well, my understanding is this was all part of the original deal, but the problem is, of course, this was like 1993, 94.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that does cross over to streaming, though.
Yeah.
Given that companies like Shout have come in and acquired those, I'm kind of inclined to believe that it may just be a matter of uh Toei or the Super Sentai people themselves can't distribute it, so they have to go through other people.
Yes. Yep. Like I remember when certain uh it was like the House of Flying Daggers or something, and it was some Asian movie, and it was in the West, it was billed like by Quentin Tarantino, but then you're like, he just, when you look at the fine print, is like, he's the one who got the rights distribution to bring it to America. He had nothing to do with the production of the movie, but he put his name on it, and it seemed like it was a Tarantino film, and because it was artsy, and if you didn't look into it, you could accept it.
That's a very good question. Let me see. Let's see. If streaming ultimately causes these problems that cause people to choose the entire catalogs, if they go on hiatus, won't people just default to the streaming services for those same catalogs? Well, the problem is ultimately you do have to kind of keep the name out there. You have to keep something going to keep it relevant, because otherwise it will fall off and kind of fall into the back catalog.
And
look at MASH. MASH was the biggest show in the world.
mm-hmm.
People aren't going gaga about MASH, or maybe to a lesser extent Seinfeld, but that's a little different case because that is something people actually kind of are.
But there is something to say about, like, and again, it's, does Kamen Rider go into the Nick at Night category, or what is the Asian version of Nick at Night that we see those reruns, but we don't have the network the way that we used to, right? So Seinfeld, I remember in college we stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning and we watched 2 episodes and went to bed. Like, when you don't have that built-in network TV stations flipping channels to see these old shows, it's just what you choose to stream.
Well, the other problem as well is, yes, Punkwaddle said Naked Night.
Yeah, well, that's what I do sometimes.
Fundamentally, though, it's just not the same culture. There's so much that is just different from the way things were.
Mhm.
I was just watching White Christmas today. And there's so much about like the culture of that movie from the 1950s is so alien, so foreign to like looking at things today. Like the big band, traveling entourage groups is not a thing that gets done.
Yeah.
And so it just the problem is we can't necessarily stay to those old ways because they don't necessarily stay true. Let's see. The first black ship was after the COVID. Let's see. The live. Let's see. Thus, new shows found themselves competing with their own predecessors, especially highly acclaimed ones for viewership. Viewers did not know where to start. Okay, we hit on that. The second black ship was the huge American comic hero wave. Shirakura noted that Marvel's Avengers has been particularly popular in Japan. He also said Marvel presents the characters from Captain America to Iron Man from different works in one unified package. By
Mhm.
contrast, Super Sentai thus far would largely reset the story every year, aside from limited spin-off projects, crossover films, which impedes character development. Not incidentally, Marvel famously collaborated with Toei on 3 early Super Sentai series, which that
Yeah.
is true. And the thing is, like, yeah, they're kind of right because Marvel, for all the criticism we do have of Marvel,
Mhm.
they've done a remarkable job in 80 years of superheroes
Yeah.
keeping these names relevant. People people have grown up and lived knowing who Tony Stark, Peter Parker,
Mhm.
Steve Rogers are. These are names that have been able to build up a massive franchise around themselves.
Yeah. When was the first Iron Man movie? Was it 2000s or was it 90s?
2008, I believe.
Was it really that short?
Yeah, it was that long ago, some 15 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
Eh,
13.
Yeah. So yeah, in 2008, it's like, hold on, it's like 17 years. Yeah, but the point is, they've done so much in just that amount of time, less than 20 years.
And but then if we compare that to something like Super Sentai to
Hmm.
Power Rangers for our American people.
Right.
The issue there is fundamentally that it's a series that's built up to to where the characters have their story for the year,
Hmm.
and then once we get through the year, once we get to our 50 episodes of the series, we
Yep.
hit the big reset button, and we are effectively throwing all those characters, all that progression, all that familiarity away. The only thing
Yep.
that stays around is the franchise name, Sentai.
And the Zordon and Robot Alpha, you get variations of those. I also think maybe that's why. Now, the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movies did gangbusters back in the 90s, but the revamp one with the whatever her name was as
Hmm.
Rita, it was just it was Rita repulsive. It hardly resembled, and it kind of flopped. And I wasn't Netflix supposed to do a movie, and they were trying to do deals with some other stuff, and ultimately all that stuff fell through.
Yeah, that's something we have talked about briefly on the channel.
Okay.
Is that there have been some attempts. Hasbro, who now owns the rights, effectively owns Power Rangers as an IP.
Hmm.
Power Rangers has been trying to get their themselves up and running, and as much as I dislike the idea, the fact is they've been able to make that idea, those characters stick in the minds of people for 30 years. People
True.
still will point to Tommy the Green Ranger, the White
Yep.
Ranger.
I mean, there was a moment of silence when he unfortunately passed.
Mhm.
Um,
Whereas Super Sentai has effectively had 44 or 40, by depending on who's counting,
yeah.
45 teams of heroes that have come along, and none of those characters necessarily has that sort of acclaim to them, unfortunately.
And isn't that the same thing with even Common Rider? You have a series and it rips it. Like that's what a lot you see more with anime, with the Sentai, with these style and brands is that they get to tell new stories. But like you said, the issue is you might remember a certain team fondly, but it's not the staying power.
And that is a downside.
Yeah.
I've come to appreciate this Toku stuff because it was a refreshing taste for me, because it wasn't just holding up this one set of characters as the be all end all.
Mhm.
They were able to really experiment and try different things from season to season, and it was just a breath of fresh air for me at a time in which Marvel was, of course, trashing its own brands. We had She-Hulk twerking. We had all the stuff going on with like Namor.
Yeah.
Familiarity breeds disinterest. Asahi noted that the paradox that everybody in Japan knows Sentai, even though they are mostly unfamiliar with the stories from year to year.
Hmm.
Shirakura responded that the franchise's fundamental problem is that by lasting half a century, it has become run of the mill. The producers observed that for many people in Japan, hearing the word Sentai conjures the image of 5 heroes in colored suits. On
Hmm.
one hand, generations have treated the franchise as comfort viewing that does not change. But
Hmm.
on the other hand, that perception of it does not change leads to people thinking it's not a must-see TV. That leads people to stop watching new episodes every week or watch the old show for nostalgia instead. And with streaming, we see where that problem can also come back around.
Yeah. Not the issue of who has the rights, notwithstanding, just if you're going to choose to watch it.
And then you look at what's kind of happened along the way, where whoever was kind of in charge of handling the Power Rangers stuff in the last decade or so, at least. I think after Hasbro took over, they had a deal where I think might have been either Disney or Hasbro after they bought it back from Disney.
Okay.
There was some sort of agreement set up to where effectively the West would pump money into the production of the Super Sentai and and build it up, make it bigger and better, so that way they would have better fights to use when they in turn adapted it for Power Rangers.
Makes sense.
But in the last decade,
Hmm.
that had fundamentally changed, because as I started to kind of notice,
Hmm.
uh, and I've talked a little bit about it a little bit on the channel before with other streams. There were some years where they skipped adapting certain series altogether. For
Right.
example, I think it was the series Lupin Rangers
Hmm.
was coming out at a time in which the Super Sentai team were police officers, right as the George Floyd stuff was going on. So when Hasbro was looking at what to do with the next season, they looked at that and said,
Nope.
"We're not touching this."
Yep.
But it is kind of a fascinating thought to look at this and think about sort of that Japanese perspective and what does this mean, especially from that outside perspective. That I don't know what that would be like to grow up with this stuff, just being that same, you know, comfort like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question.
Because you stop to think about it. Whenever we've had Power Rangers here, there has been effectively one era of the Rangers that has been the be all end all, that has all the nostalgia tied into it.
Well, I mean, I did make the note earlier the fact that they had two major motion movie pictures of that Mighty Morphin team
They
that
did.
did gangbusters. They had a few seasons where they were the ones, right? They were the original for a few seasons. So it's like, and again, being that it was mid 90s, you have all the people who are now 30 years older with all the nostalgia in the last 5 to 7, 10 years coming back around, and everything from Pokemon and all these things that it's prime for that memberberry level of like ripe for plucking, right?
You're right. And that's sort of the downside to it ultimately, is that so many of those other eras of the show just don't get the same sort of attention.
So
As much
25,
as
yeah,
as much as
25.
I like Time Force,
Mm-hmm,
they were never going to do a Time Force movie.
yeah. I could have used Justin Timberlake for Time Thief or whatever. Yeah, okay. that might have sold well. I don't know what that.
I mean, if we're going back to like 1998.
Yeah.
Let's see. The producer observed that for many people in Japan, hearing the word Sentai conjures the image of 5 heroes in colored suits.
Yeah.
Oh, we have that. As a result, he thinks the generation should step away from the. He thinks his generation should step away from the franchise, and a new generation should conceive of a new Sentai. Therefore, he thinks the franchise must take 10 years off before reviving, which, again, goes back to what we were saying about Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I observed that when he joined Toei in 1990, when the company was planning the 92 series Sentai Zyuranger, which is the era we got as Mighty Morphin.
Mm-hmm.
The staff back then thought it might be the final Sentai entry, so the young staffers wanted to try something different and introduced a sixth regular member mid-story for the first time in the franchise.
Do you remember when they gave us a girl turtle and people were like, "Huh? No, that doesn't exist." Sorry, go ahead.
Both times.
Yeah.
In my day, we had Voltron teams and the Mighty Orbots. They were a cartoon version of your Power Rangers, and much like my Power Rangers, your Voltron also came from Japan and was also much different. Like, I think the Go Lion was like super bloodthirsty or something that I've heard. I really need to go watch the original Japanese like version of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Zyuranger became the loose basis for the global phenomenon. Power Rangers was divine intervention, literally kamikaze, that led to Super Sentai lasting another 3 decades.
Mm-hmm.
He observed that even Kamen Rider and Ultraman had hiatuses, whereas only Super Sentai among Tokusatsu franchises has had a nearly continuous half-century broadcast run. He rather noted that Super Sentai's success defies reason. Its origin was a fluke, born from a failed attempt to make a project with 5 Kamen Riders assembling to fight together. That failure led to the Kamen Rider creator Ishinomori to develop Sentai Go Ranger, the first Super Sentai show.
Mm.
The franchise only added giant robots after the once popular giant robot anime show ended their continuous broadcast run in the 1970s. The third, or first, depending on who's counting, Super Sentai show Battle Fever J took the Tosho Daimo's robot anime time slot after it was cut short. Time for changing heroes, specifically Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity, which brings us to this.
Well,
little
Super
thing.
Space Gavin didn't that get adapted into like the VR Troopers or one of those other ones?
I believe you're right, because
that looked like some really old footage.
I want to say it might have been what they used for the car Voltron.
Okay.
Because the headpiece looking like the plane like that got me thinking that.
I might be wrong, but yeah, it was like a space cup, space marshal. Like I said, there are so many things that are very similar in name that there's no point in getting too minced up of the details. Just knowing that yes, it was common that and after Morphin was popularized, there were a few other franchises that really tried to ring in the popularity and didn't do as well. Like Blu-ray versus high def HD.
So Bounding Comics also kind of further elaborated on this a little bit more, as they were kind of pushing into the toy rights issue.
Mm-hmm.
Fans worldwide accept the reality that Super Sentai is well and truly over, not to mention set replaced by Project Red. We'll be getting that in a couple minutes. The deal the franchise toy licensing deal with Bandai Namco suggests that Hasbro's purchase over the Power Rangers IP played a significant role in this Toku's untimely demise. Yes. The main reason is simply the decline of the number of children, the main audience, which ties directly to Japan's failing birth rate. On top of that, smartphone games, which are free to play, have widespread even among younger kids. Compared to the Showa and Heisei eras, the number of competing entertainment media has increased dramatically. So, way more IPs, way more brands, all competing for a dwindling audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to turn around and try to sell kids on toys when they have a smartphone that can give them the same dopamine hit.
Yeah, the media, well, and I think that's another fair point to say. It's not just that streaming is killing certain shows or making things harder to find. It's having the tablet, having the screen in front of you, that when people didn't have the ability to multitask, now they have the ability to multitask so hard that even if you played the Super Sentai, would they even notice it, right?
Fully and solely facilitated by Brian Goldner, without any input from his fellow company leadership, the deal saw Hasbro buying ownership of Super Sentai's adaptation from Haim Saban, who had recently reacquired it from Disney, and doing so, choosing to take back its toy manufacturing rights from Bandai Namco. The Sentai was remade in the U.S. We know about that part. Manufacturing rights were held by Japan's Bandai Namco. Power Rangers became a global hit, and combined toy sales, including the Japanese and overseas versions, surpassed 20 billion yen, rivaling the current levels of Kamen Rider Ultraman. So, geez, like that was a major hit to Bandai Namco to lose Sentai like that.
Yeah. I mean, and Bandai Namco has a lot of properties, but then, wait, when did you say they lost it?
2018.
Okay, so that's also okay. That's also when some of the Gundam stuff was pushing really hard, and then you had 2019 when you had the cough, 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 which really pushed the Gundam world build and all that stuff to the side. So, but then they were trying to pump out so much Gundam to. I mean, it also makes sense why they were trying to push the properties they did have so hard.
Exactly, because they didn't have the Sentai stuff anymore, so they had to really lean on to Power Ranger. They had to lean on to like Gundam and other stuff a lot more.
Because I mean, that's when I started getting really into Gunpla, and they were pushing so much and doing so many reprints back then for about as much as I could, and they built a new factory, but they couldn't keep up with, because again, it was kind of also expanding it was already expanding at an alarming rate, the popularity of the Gunpla, combined with it needed to be more of a breadwinner for them. And then when you had everybody shut down, locked up at home, building a hobby kit is a great way to pass the time when you're trying to find a job or you're just bored out of your mind.
You're right.
I should have.
Let's see. The Kamen Rider series is working on, and this is something we have been talking about. This part we've been well aware of here.
Yeah,
Kamen Rider is working on global simultaneous distribution and is expected to expand into more seriously into overseas markets. Ultraman has also been growing increasingly popular in China in recent years, successfully expanding abroad. On the other hand, Super Sentai has already succeeded overseas expansion back in the 90s, but losing its overseas toy market midway proved to be a severe setback. Then on top of that, you also have Hasbro talk about wanting to not rely on the Japanese footage. So it has just been a death knell to this series, which has been propped up by the West.
Mm-hmm. So the West kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want the cash cow. We don't want the thing that inspired it. We want to do it on our own. Well, how are you going to do it on your own? Oh, we're going to sell all the property.
While the idea of Bandai Namco holding toy manufacturing rights to both the Japanese Super Sentai and its Western Power Rangers cousin seemed like a bad piece of fake trivia, this arrangement is confirmed by contemporary court records.
Oh.
Per the text of the 94 copyright infringement lawsuit against a manufacturer of bootleg Power Rangers toys, quote, Saban is also the sole and exclusive licensee in the United States of rights of is a federally registered copyright in the live motion picture Cheju Yi Ranger, potentially based on the phenomenal mispronunciation of the original Super Sentai. Z Ranger is a Japanese creation. Saban has in turn licensed Bandai to produce and market certain toy products derived from the Power Rangers.
Okay.
As far as Hasbro forced recovery of the specific toy manufacturing rights, the company never took action against Bandai Namco. Their official filing in the U.S. Securities and Exchange, the SEC, regarding their larger purchase of Saban's various toy holdings, explicitly holds that Hasbro now owns all the rights and interest in the Power Rangers, Julius Jr., Luna Petunia, My Pet Monster, Popples, Treehouse Detective properties, and retaining intellectual properties, as well as in certain other properties that were previously owned by Saban or any of their affiliates, which thus allowed them to rescind any outstanding license contracts they saw fit.
You know, fun fact, back at my parents' house, my nieces were playing with my Popples from when I was a kid.
I'm surprised that hasn't tried to come back.
I don't know. I feel like they were just so wholesome. It's just like how Fraggle Rock, they tried to bring it back, but it didn't go anywhere because it's just like, that's cool. But again, like the media, I don't think kids really care about the puppets. And then if you do a Fraggle Rock, I mean, the Popples were a cartoon, but there was only so much of them. But the toys were really fun, except for now we have way cooler toys. Like who needs a little stuffed animal that can go inside out when you can get the moody, the happy or sad octopus from Tea Turtle, right?
Could just go back to Robotech. Yeah, no, not with Harmony Gold fucking over Robotech. Well, Battletech.
Yeah, stay golden, Pony Boy.
Which has been a bitch of a lawsuit that's been fucking over Battletech as well. But all of this to say that it is ultimately no wonder that we are seeing kind of the end of all the Super Sentai stuff.
Yeah.
Which brings us finally to what is getting called Project Red.
Yeah.
Now, what is Project Red, you may ask? Well, considering that Super Sentai is going to be going away, there is a vacuum, and nature abhors its vacuums.
Mm-hmm.
To that end, of course, Toei are planning to replace that vacuum with a new project.
Mm-hmm.
Project Red.
I see that it has a Bandai logo too. Okay.
Whoa!
Dr. Who, Red Ranger?
It's something like. Okay, I'm a little curious. Okay, we're getting a lot of hype, a lot of build up.
Yeah. Is it Zoid's Red Ranger? Yeah.
Holy shit, Daft Punk is back.
I was gonna say the same thing. This is why they retired for hot dog burger, hot dog burger, hot dog burger. No, it's Project Daft Punk in space. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm all for it. We found out why Daft Punk went to Fortnite. They're building Project Red.
I mean, they did follow the Rangers.
That's all it was.
That's all we
So
get.
I think the smart money is probably going to suggest whatever this project is, we'll more than likely see it next year, or well, I think realistically, if they're able to get production of this underway, we might see it come spring.
Well, it's also the question: Are they gonna try to ramp production? Are they gonna try to make it like super more modernized, or are they gonna keep with the same tone, the silly stuff, the easy, whip out new episodes quickly? Like, there's a few questions of how they're going to revamp it, right?
And that's kind of the $1 million question, because there's so much we don't know about this. Outside of apparently it's launching in 2026. That's all we know.
I do like the helmet. It looks like it's just the same color. Like you said, it does look like Daft Punk fused into one person.
All I know is people are going to be enjoying this one around the world.
Just one more time. Can we just see that last little bit of the head?
Ooh. Like, at the end of the day, we just want to see heroes in badass suits and helmets.
Yeah. Like, that does look... I mean, the visor, the mouthpiece, it looks sleek. It looks like a Super Sentai. Kind of looks like what they did with Snake Eye's mask in the new movie, but better. Like the mouthpiece part of it, you know what I mean?
And as it turns out, there is a Twitter account for this thing.
Oh. Also, that was a good pause. That was a really good pause.
Mm-hmm. Like, that would be great for some YouTube thumbnails, I think.
Yes.
So just them kind of teasing that. And also, we'll have more coming in a few days.
Oh, nice. That's Thursday, Friday? Yeah.
A new brand, Project Red, that stands apart from Super Sentai or Kamen Rider, Cho Uchu Keiji Gyaban Infinity.
I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Decimal.
Oh no, this is straight up. They are filming this. You're not wrong, Decimal. Like, if they go for a Proto Man look, and for my own personal preference, I would say protoman.exe.
Yes. Yeah.
Check this out. Like I said, they're slating this for coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
It must mean that they're filming this right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that was clever.
Mm-hmm.
They got the suit blurred out from the teases.
Honey, where's my super suit?
They got a nice size stage here to work with.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is like gonna be like our main heroes.
Yeah, they're either the heroes or the writers, one of the two.
Probably, it might just be the production guys.
Yeah. I don't know if they're ready to show us the talent yet. No, that does look...
So typically speaking, when it came to Super Sentai or
Mhm.
a lot of those shows, it wouldn't be until about a month and a half, maybe 2 months out before we started getting teases in that for it.
Right. Okay.
And there's still another probably 2 months before we get to that point.
Well, like you said, by the end of this week, we'll get something, another
And
teaser. Ooh, that
we
does
also
look.
got this image.
Oh, okay. That looks like somewhere between a Power Ranger and a Rider.
It kind of reminds me of like, and I know I'm a bit of a fan of the series, but it kind of reminds me of like the Kamen Rider Geats,
Yeah, the red and white. But
which
also, oh, go ahead.
which by the way, speaking of Geats,
Yeah.
apparently there's a new death battle coming, and just due to sheer popularity of him,
Uh huh.
they are going to have Geats in it facing off against some other threat, which I believe I saw was like uh Sephiroth was one of the potential threats he was gonna fight.
Okay.
But anyway, this is all we kind of know about this for now.
But like that looks like light armor. That looks like some chest armor. It looks like again like a
Like it?
biker, a dirt bike. The stomach area looks like it's more mobile, like a ninja. He's not super duper heavily armored.
Not too overly filled, encumbered for the armor. It's
Yeah.
light. It's gonna be nimble enough.
Mm.
And I think with that bit of shine to it, it's gonna make the brain go ooh, get the feel good drugs just right.
Oh, yeah. Anything with that metallic sheen and shine to it, especially with a superhero, especially when they look like all pristine and buffed out, it, it just, yeah, it's just, it's like Pinky in the Brain, I want to become the mayor of Shiny Pants.
And I mean, plus they're kind of they were, as they're kind of mentioning here, they're talking about inheriting sort of the spirit of like space sheriff
Yeah, yeah.
Gavin, which oh, if C3PO fucked RoboCop.
One more time. Clank, clank. Okay, sorry.
And then yes, the soundtrack was Daft Punk.
Do it stronger, faster, harder. Oh, anyway, moving on.
But yeah, that is fundamentally been it for this. That was kind of what I really wanted to kind of talk on and hit on, because I felt like this was kind of a bigger developing story that's been really interesting all along.
Yeah.
Especially because like now we actually have some details coming out of it. And it was better to talk about this than like more of Rob Liefeld bitching about not being invited to a Hollywood party.
Oh no, I wasn't invited either. Look, they didn't even want me on jury duty. I don't expect, to be like the hot commodity right now. Maybe it's because, it's like Super Sentai. They went for 50 years and they're gonna drop off to see if people miss them. I did videos on my channel for like 2.5 years, and I've been gone for 2.5 months, and people forget I'm just kidding. This is not a cry for help.
It has, but all that's considered, it has been a pretty good night.
Yeah, it has. This is a good. I mean, there's a lot to digest about all this stuff, and the end of an era does feel like it needs a moment of silence or something.
R.I.P. Sentai. It's
Mhm.
gonna be a shame to see you go, and maybe we'll see you return one day when perhaps they're able to finally get some stuff peeled away from Hasbro, which
Yeah.
for all the bitching and moaning and complaining I've had about Hasbro with D&D and Magic,
Yeah.
the
Wait, is there
Power
not a?
Rangers one might hurt the most of all on a personal level.
Are the Power Rangers not in Magic yet? Or
Hasbro owns all three of them.
I know it's just a matter of time.
It is.
Um.
Son
Yeah.
of a bitch, it is only a matter of time.
My bad. But at least we can hold out and wait that maybe in 5 to 10 years, the original Pink Ranger, Kimberly, might agree to come back, and that'll revamp the whole Mighty Morphin all over again.
Kimmy, come back. You can blame it all on Billy.
It's unfortunate, but yeah.
But with that said, I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Punkwaddle, we got your link down in the description. You got anything coming up this week?
Not yet on my own channel still. I guess, the woes of not having your main rig, having that crapped out and working on putting things back together. And then because it's been holidays and seeing family and other personal stuff going on, like it's harder to try and get that stuff back up and running than just be in motion. So I'll work on that, but I'll be hanging out with the Mads crew tomorrow night. And I know me and Snacks need to figure out what we're doing with the Cotton Collision with his new schedule, but maybe we'll figure something out.
Well, in the meantime, have you figured any? Have you checked in with Culture Casino since he got back?
Not really. I texted him a little bit, but I think everybody was texting him. So,
okay, Decibel. I'm just saying. Like, Tojima wants to be a common rider. We have Tackle.
I was gonna say, yeah. Which big rack? All right, Yoda. What big melons you have?
I was hoping I could find just a really good picture of Tackle real quick. Because holy shit, she has become the waifu of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go pull this up because
her name is what some people want to do.
Like the way she goes to town with weights is she's good. What can I say? We like some bit like this.
It's like what a friend used to say, good groceries. Yeah.
Like she will suplex you just to take you down, especially if you come dressed as that Shocker ski mask.
True. Hey, Dave.
But I did ask about Culture because I don't know if you've checked it with him since he's came back, but apparently there's some video of him going around.
Oh, there is?
There is. My internet father.
Welcome to What is Growing in My Garden. Let's play. Clue number 1, tiny orange seeds. Clue 2, a peppery little leaf like this. And clue 3, sprouts that pack a spicy kick. Any guesses?
Oh no. The McCracken has been released.
That's just gonna be me in like 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that checks out.
But with that said, I think we've had some fun. Punkwaddle, thank you as always for coming out, and folks, have a good one. Take care of yourselves. Relax. Especially if you're in the cold north, make sure you lift your wipers up so they don't freeze the windshields because there's talk about some snow and cold weather coming. And with that, folks, I think we're gonna call it here. So, Dave, thank you for coming out as always. Decibel, DJ Ronnie, Squeaka, anyone and everyone who came out, thank you so much for coming out. Have a good one. We'll be seeing you.
I know stupid. And this is definitely stupid.